right. Good morning, Flagler County. This is Danielle Anderson, your host of Lifeline, the radio show connecting you to positivity in our community. And we have some folks in the studio this morning talking about positive stuff on the other side of a disaster. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So we have Jonathan Lord, Chris Townsend, and Kelly Steffens in the studio. So I know you guys are super busy. I won't take a ton of your time, but you guys did a really interesting thing, and I happened to catch it on Facebook talking about business continuity. And it's not something that I've seen any of our local businesses kind of talking about. So we really wanted to get into that and talk about, because Chris, you said what a great experience it was for you to get to do it.
It was amazing. And it's different. You know, we as a healthcare company are required to have a CEMP registered with the state of Florida with ACA. And
hold on now. Now there's a bunch of people out there that don't know what either one of those things stand for. What's going on there?
So a Certified Emergency Management Plan, or CEMP, is designed to have healthcare facilities react during a crisis to be able to maintain patient continuity of care. And that's what the state is focused on. And Kelly will tell you all about our experience and how diverse it is and different and complementary, the Flagler County program adding to the healthcare. So having both the requirement for the state of Florida for patient care focus and then the county business focus and restarting a small business, it's great not just for healthcare, but for any small business that decides to take advantage of the program.
I think that's awesome. Jonathan, as an emergency management director, can you tell us a little bit about your office or agency?
Sure. So I think the simple response to that question is we are the county department that is required by state. We're one of the few county departments actually required by the state of Florida. So every county has to have a me at least. And our department's purpose is to coordinate preparedness and response to major emergencies or disasters. So not the normal, I called 911. We have sheriff's department, we have the fire department, and which also does emergency medical services. They take care of those calls. But when we get to larger scale emergencies or disasters, we don't respond the way the police and fire do, but our job is to help them as well as help coordinate them as well as other departments that aren't typically involved in emergencies to help protect our community and get our community back to normal afterwards. So we are really an emergency planning, disaster planning entity. We're a very small team. There's only 6 of us. We were 5 for a long time. We grew to 6 a year and a half ago or so ago, which is why we were able to kick off this program. Actually, something I've wanted to do for years, but we just didn't have adequate staffing to do that. But the business community is a very important part of our community. We're not just residents. We're residents, businesses, and visitors. So when we were able to get some more staffing, we could start reaching into more areas. And the quicker we can, the better we can prepare our community, which includes businesses, the quicker we can get back to normal or even better after disaster.
And I think that's interesting because we always think emergency management and we think first responders. I normally don't associate the business community as part of that.
No, it's super important. Here's a little story I tell sometimes. A very quick little story is, we tell people to evacuate. Let's use our biggest, most common disaster we have here in our community, which is hurricanes. Right? In a hurricane, we make evacuation decisions, and we say, hey, this part of the community has to evacuate. But it could also be for a wildfire or something else.
Right.
But hurricanes typically cause the largest kind of evacuations. This part of the community has to evacuate. So when they have to evacuate, businesses shut down. People leave or they go into shelters. Typically, we use schools as shelters. So we put people into schools. Schools have to shut down to allow us to do that. After a storm, if we can't get people back home and businesses back open, then people can't go back to work. If we can't get schools back open, then children can't go back to school, and parents a lot of times can't go back to work if their children aren't back in school. So this is all a cycle of all these little pieces play together, and we're the department that kind of needs to figure out all these little pieces, because if we can't get people back to work and back to school, then our economy can't restart again. And one of the big things that happens everywhere in the world, and particularly in our country, is most communities are made up of small businesses, what people typically call mom and pop businesses, right? A very high percentage of mom and pop businesses after disaster don't reopen. And that's something I'm very concerned about. Our entire team is very concerned about, which is why we were able to have Kelly kick off this program this year, was to try to build that resiliency into the businesses to give them a path forward. We may not solve every issue because the business could An entire building could be gone. That could be everything that business has, right? But if we can give them the steps to think about how do I get reopened again, what will my gaps be, then we can help get our economy restarted.
And, you can't go for insurance after the fact, right? I mean,
Yes.
all those things.
The insurance companies, you have to be insured up front. And there's different types of insurance. And then part of that, too, is talking through what insurances you do have and don't have.
So, Chris, how did you hear about the program?
Well, Kelly presented to Palm Coast business professionals, and that's where I initially heard about it. And immediately I raised my hand and said, please sign me up. In healthcare, any kind of additional assistance we can get, we're ingrained in the community. We're the only licensed durable medical equipment provider here in Flagler County.
Wow.
So it's imperative that we do everything in our power to stay open, to reopen, and if we can, not close down, to provide services to the community. And as Jonathan said, 80% of the community is small business. So I heard about Kelly when she presented. We volunteered. My staff was involved in the program, and part of what comes out of the process is a training for your staff. So throughout the year, you have sort of fire drills, if you will, or emergency management drills in this case, where you educate, you provide in services. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's not a lot of energy. And I encourage every business to take advantage of the program, because if we don't have gas, if we don't have groceries, if we don't have the dry cleaners even, whatever that may be, people can't go back to work. They can't go back to school. And as Jonathan pointed out, the community can't restart. And as we've all experienced, a 20-year resident, we've been through several disasters where it's so imperative to restart the economy in the local community. So as a new business owner, 2.5 years in, it's exciting to know that we have the county's support in helping small business and supporting what we do for our community.
And I think our community has been a tremendous supporter of our small businesses. I mean, whether it's the city of Palm Coast, it's Bunnell, the county itself, everybody seems to rally around our small business community. So, Kelly, can you tell us, what is the steps to get started?
So to get started, all you would really have to do is contact us in any way, shape, or form. There's a form that's been circulating on our social media pages that we try and promote, especially when we promote the completed businesses that we've done. Or you can just email us at eoc@flaglercounty.gov, simply to get in contact. But this program is just to create a free, customized continuity plan for our local small businesses, any who are interested. And it's a really painless process. It starts with an initial quick 5-minute call that we give just to go through the process and what the timeline would be with the business, which is probably about a month. It's very quick. After that initial call, we actually come and we have an initial meeting, about 30 to 45 minutes, preferably at your place of business and in person, but we can also accommodate virtual, which we have already. And then we might send a couple follow-up questions via singular email. And beyond that, we are able to give you a draft of a plan that allows the business owner to tell us what they would like changed, different, added, taken away. And yeah, it comes out with a really great product at the end of the day for our local businesses.
So you're writing this for them. It's not like you're sitting in their office for 3 or 4 hours going over forms and all those kinds of things. It's pretty quick.
Yes, it is very quick. It's very hands-off for the business owner, so they don't have to worry about it. They just speak to us verbally and tell us what they need, and we take notes, and we make the plan from that.
So what kind of things are in that plan?
So in that plan, we try to simplify what a continuity of operations plan would be. So we include things such as their insurance, like Jonathan said. We also talk about their situation of their business currently and what they need to keep going, which is another way to say their essential functions as a business. So we look for those key operations that they need to bounce back. We also look at what they need to get back to normal. So if there were to be an issue with their business, what is most important for them? And we also will include costs as well. Also, the order of operations, such as a chain of command. So if the business owner weren't to be there, who should be the next point of contact, and so on and so forth for the business. And for a lot of business owners, that information all lives up here in their head. So it's super important to have it written down, because if the owner is MIA, who is it to fall onto next? And if they find this plan, they could say, okay, now I know that I need to do X, Y, and Z.
And so when this is completed, do you come in there and kind of go through it with the team, the staff?
When it's completed, we send it to the business owner first, and we kind of go back and forth to make sure it's what they want it to be. And then from there, we come in and we meet with them in person. And with Chris, as well as anybody else, we were able to take a social photo to put on our social media as well.
Yeah, he's great at promoting good stuff.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So how many people or how many businesses have been able to take advantage of this so far?
So far, we've done about a handful, and we are talking to another probably half a handful of businesses at the same time.
Wow. And I think it's interesting to say that this is free.
Yes,
right?
it is completely free and customizable. We'll do any sort of small or local business. We did Chris, who is a wellness medical provider, and we've also done an insurance broker as well, Absolute Risk Services. And we've done other businesses as well, with whether it's physical storefront or more virtual online thing.
So is this something like maybe a restaurant or even a retailer would need?
Absolutely. Any of our local small businesses would absolutely need this plan to help them get back as quickly as possible.
And actually, it's not just small businesses. We're actually working with a national company as well that happens to have outlets here in town.
Wow.
Yes.
So it's not just, we say small business because that really is
All of Flagler.
99.9% of the businesses in Flagler County. That's my unofficial number. But it really is any size. So there really is a national company we're working with that actually has locations here in our county. So
that's awesome.
So it's any size.
Yes.
Business. Anyone that's here in the county.
Yes, anyone in county that would be interested, we highly encourage you to reach out to us in any way, shape, or form. Even leaving a comment on a post, DMing us, anything.
I was
any
like,
way to get in
you're
contact.
opening that pretty wide to like get in touch with you. She's like, any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like they're going to send you like a paper airplane. Can you help us?
Yeah, I'll take care of your pigeon too.
So, Chris, what are some of the things that you were surprised to learn as you did this plan?
So the most exciting thing about this is it restructured my thinking process. You know, being in healthcare, you're always, okay, patient, patient, patient. You're a patient-centric focus in how you're operating the business. Kelly and her team went through some of the details of, let's review your insurance coverage. Let's look at what happens if your facility is unavailable. Where's your secondary location? What is the chain of command? Some of which we had in place. Others was an additional component. So the most exciting thing was just a different viewpoint, because you can't see the forest through the trees. And as a small business owner, you're in the woods every single day.
Yeah.
Having that outside perspective and taking it from an emergency management standpoint for the local community, local county, really helped expand and give a breath of fresh air to what we offer our staff and our patients. Kelly and her team redesigned my input for emergency management. We, as part of our accreditation, every new patient gets an orientation package. Within that orientation package is an emergency management page where we talk about the shelters, make sure that they have priority restoration of electric and services if they choose not to shelter and do shelter in place or stay in place. So we cover all of that at admission for every single patient. So Kelly and her team expanded what we had, made it look really, really good, and frankly gave it more depth and more information for our patients. So every new patient gets a copy of that on top of and separate and aside from the business plan that they developed for my staff. So I could recommend that anybody would grow from a different viewpoint, specifically small business, because we're so inundated in the business, we can't get that outside look. And that was probably the most beneficial piece. You don't think about, okay, does your insurance cover this? What happens if it's windstorm? What happens in this scenario, that scenario? What if there's a fire? What if you're not touched, but everybody else is? Every single scenario they run through, and I'm assuming that's Kelly's training and background that she just walked me through, and so you learn. It's a great experience as a business owner. It does not take a lot of time. If I spent a couple of hours, I'd be lying. It wasn't that much. So it's not a time sucker. It's not going to take you away from your business. It's going to add value to your staff, even if you only have one other person.
You've got to feel more comfortable and more secure now that that's in place.
We do, absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to learn more about what the emergency management team does. We'll be right back.
Don't even think about climbing that ladder.
We got a guy that'll do it for you.
If you're going to do it right with Benjamin Moore.
We've got the professional painters and the best paint.
Benjamin Moore, corner of Old Kings and Utility Drive.
Palm Coast.
Thank you so much for recommending us to your family and friends. When you need a 30, 60, or 90-minute massage, it's real easy to book your appointment online. MassageByNatalie.org. MassageByNatalie.org.
Be local, buy local from local companies and members of the Flagler Home Builders Association.
Hi, folks. This is Bill Gallagher with SolarFit. Just a note to the wise, beware of unlicensed contractors knocking on your door. SolarFit has been installing solar systems in our community since 1975. We won't knock on your door, so give us a call at 445-7606, 445-7606.
The Flagler Home Builders Association, building a better community for you.
We are back with the emergency management team and, of course, Chris Townsend. Chris, tell everybody the name of your business. I don't think we dropped that in there.
I don't think we did. It's Be Active Mobility and Equipment. And so we're located over in City Marketplace across from Dominic's Deli. Everybody knows that staple in the community.
That's the place to be. So if we're looking at this from emergency management, and he's in a complex with what, maybe 200 other businesses?
I think so.
You know, is there a need to do like a plan for that whole complex? Is that something you guys would do, or is it need to be individualized?
I think it's both. Individualized by each company, so each lesser in each of those units.
Right.
But that complex is also owned by a company.
Right.
So there will be as much benefit to the individual companies as to the owner of the complex too, because that complex to that owner of is obviously a source of revenue for them.
Right. But I mean, even if like some of those complexes have like associations where the businesses are band together, could they be like a staging point for emergency support, or could they be in some way helping during a disaster if they needed to be?
Yeah, I think a side benefit of doing this, while this is not the purpose of doing this, the main purpose of doing this is to prepare our business community, right?
Yeah.
But a side benefit is Kelly and our interns that actually work with Kelly to on this current program is they're learning about the capabilities of businesses in our community. And those little things kind of reside in the back of our heads, right? So if Kelly goes sees company XYZ and we have some kind of weird need in the middle of a disaster, because every disaster is different, every hurricane is different.
Right.
And sometimes we just get these random things that we've never had to deal with before. And, a little light bulb goes like, hey, wait a minute, so-and-so's company has these.
I know.
We know where. We literally know a guy or a lady, right? We're like, let's pick up the phone and call them, because our community coming back to normal after disaster, or hopefully better afterwards. Even it's not just government. The term we use is whole community. Yeah. It's government plus the private sector plus residents. It's all of us coming together to get the community back. Government can't do it on its own. The private sector can't do it on its own. So it really is it's a team sport, getting our community back after disaster.
So I know you guys have been doing kind of like an assessment of the resources, like with nonprofits and things like that. Is there some way that the business community can also let you guys know things that they have available that they could support in advance?
Yeah, for sure. I think reaching out the same way. I think going through the process definitely helps, because that's going to take a much deeper dive. Yeah. But even if you're not interested in going through or aren't ready to go through the process at this point in time, just linking back with us saying, hey, we offer this. We don't know if you'll ever need it. But by the way, do you know that we have this in our county? Because every day I learn something about, we actually have a company that sells that or provides this service. A lot of times, because people think of us as a small community, I'd rather call us an entry-level medium community. That's what I say. Not that that's a real term. But we're not a small community anymore. I think it still feels that way sometimes. People will argue with me at rush hour on the roads. It doesn't feel that way. No. But I spent a lot of my career in South Florida, so I would argue that's nothing like what other communities deal with. But we are a growing community. Our business community is growing, maybe not as much as some folks would like to see. And there are new companies appearing all the time that offer different services that weren't here yesterday. So it's impossible for us to be fully aware of that.
Right.
Because even though you think, government, I had to register with the government. Well, it depends where you are in the county. You may register with the city and the county has no idea about you, or different cities. So just companies that want to reach out and say, hey, by the way, we're here. We have this service or program or product that just in case you want to know, we always welcome that, because we can't assume. Google is great. Google finds 99.9% of the stuff anyway, but not every company is Googleable.
Right. And then, Chris is like, hey, I'm the only one of my kind here
Yeah.
in the community.
Yeah.
So it's good to know, especially if it's like a specialty.
Which is actually shocking to me, the fact that we have a senior population, that the fact there's only one durable medical equipment provider in the county, which good for Chris.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, it's serviced out of other communities. So Volusia County, St. John's County.
A lot of the services, it's a good point. A lot of the services we get in our community still do come from neighboring counties or neighboring cities. I think we're seeing that paradigm shift as we grow, but there is an assumption that a lot of that's coming from our neighbors and not within our boundaries.
Chris is a trendsetter all the way around.
Hopefully good trends.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any other like really cool programs that you guys have that people should know about?
Yeah, I think we have a whole host of them. One of our most important things to us is really preparing the community, whether it's business or residents. So over the last year or so, we've done our best to become more visible, and we try to make ourselves more reachable in events where people are. So we go to things like the Food Truck Tuesdays, which I know that season's coming to an end soon, the Palm Coast Concert Series, Flagler Beach's First Fridays. So we're always visible. At a minimum, if people see us out in the community, come grab one of our little disaster guides and read it when you get home. But you can also ask our staff questions when they're out and about, that kind of stuff, saying, hey, I'm new to the area, or I've been here for 20 years, but I've never really thought about preparing all the way because I haven't seen a big disaster around here. Ask our staff questions. So outreach is a big thing for us, and we're doing a lot more of that than we've ever done before. Because at the end of the day, if we're not visible trying to prepare our community, then more people have to rely on government for support. And we want to empower our residents. We want to empower our businesses. I think that's our goal. It's really about empowering people to help take care of themselves or their businesses. So then we can focus more on those that truly have a need, right, after a disaster. So outreach is a big program for us, and we try to become more and more visible. But we have limitations on staff. We only have so many staff. We can only be so many.
I saw you guys at a trick or treat outfit, trick or treat event the other day. Somebody was wearing like a shark costume or something, maybe.
That was me.
I mean, like all in.
I think that's outreach is a big part of our world. Continuity of the operations. It's not just for businesses. Where that kind of grew out of was the fact that we do it for government anyway. At the end of the day, the government can't not function, right? So we work with all of our county departments to make sure they're ready to, and a different person actually handles that, to make sure they're able to keep operating after an emergency or disaster. And the same principles of that were modified by Kelly to turn it into the business program. So our little programs all kind of link to each other, different bits and pieces.
As hurricane season comes to a close, I mean, is it okay to kind of just kick back and take a break now, or should we still be vigilant after we saw what just happened?
I think we should be vigilant. I tell people be vigilant year round because it's not just hurricanes. Unfortunately, we had a year and a half long COVID issue basically, and things got better after a few months. Got quite quickly, but not quick as we all wish it would have happened.
Right.
But COVID started in the winter months. We get tornadoes in the winter months. There's no tornado season versus no tornado season. You can actually get hurricanes outside of hurricane season. There's been hurricane season ends November 30th, so we're a month away, right, from hurricane season.
I was thinking it was November 1st. I was like, man, we are there.
keep wishing that.
Over.
But there's been hurricanes as late as February the following year from the end of hurricane season. Now, none of those have made landfall in the U.S., but it doesn't mean they won't. Just like what Melissa that just happened in Jamaica was the strongest hurricane to ever hit Jamaica, right?
What do you think about that? I mean, you've been in this business a while.
I think stronger hurricanes are more common. And the reason for that now today is the fact that one of the main items for hurricanes to develop and strengthen is warm water. The water in the Caribbean and the Atlantic Ocean is inherently warmer today than it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And that's just scientific fact. We track ocean temperatures. We get better now because there's more things out there, satellites and buoys that can show all of that. But we've been doing that for decades, so we can see that there is a rise in ocean temperatures over the years. So that's really the main fuel for hurricanes. That's what kind of keeps hurricanes going and allows them to get bigger and stronger. So because of that we're starting to see more of these stronger hurricanes than we've ever seen before in areas that never had Category 5 type hurricanes necessarily. I wouldn't say Jamaica was immune to them because the Caribbean is always generally larger, warmer anyway. But the Caribbean and the Gulf are definitely showing records when it comes to water temperatures. And we're starting to see these storms travel in places that in recorded history that we haven't seen. It doesn't mean they didn't happen hundreds of years ago before we could record them or before people were were able to pass that information down.
Right,
they could have been around hundreds of years ago too. We don't know, but in recorded history, we're definitely seeing more of these larger, faster developing storms, But we live in paradise. We live in a place that is at risk for hurricanes. That shouldn't scare people away from living in a beautiful community like ours. I think we can do things as a community to be more prepared. We can take steps individually or as businesses or as government to be prepared and realize that these things can happen here and be prepared for them.
Do you feel like with it being more quiet this season, it's given businesses and residents an opportunity to really get on the stick to get prepared?
I think so, yes. It's given us the opportunity to kick off a program. If we had to deal with 2 or 3 hurricanes this year, we wouldn't have been able to kick off this program. So having this, I don't want to say downtime, but downtime from storms hitting us, knock on wood, right, allows us to kind of build up these programs. Mm-hmm. Because if we are dealing with a storm or some other kind of disaster, we're going to shift gears. That's what our team does. We shift gears and we deal with a disaster. And we might be dealing with that disaster for months. And then when the disaster's over, we're going to come back and work on these programs again. Mm-hmm. So, but we build our systems for emergency management to be able to pause these programs and focus on the emergency at hand. And then we go back to them. So the plus is this has given us a year that we've had a chance to build out some of the things on our wish list.
And then now, if nothing else, Chris is ready.
Yes.
So we got to close it up here. But if people want to get in touch with you guys, what's the best way for emergency management?
You can email us, eoc@flaglercounty.gov, or you can follow us on social media and message us there.
All right, cool. And Chris, people want to find out about you and what you do.
386-281-3700.
All right. So we do want to thank you guys, and please do get in touch with them if you're interested in getting some support to be prepared and business continuity. It's all there for you, and it's free. So we do want to thank WNZF News Radio, Flagler News Weekly, the Vigilante Philanthropist, Massage by Natalie and Company, and our local Benjamin Moore Paint Store here in Palm Coast for sponsoring the show. And thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.